just going to make sure everything comes up. Just give me a second here. How's everybody doing today? Hey. Today's Monday. It's Monday. I genuinely thought the minute I woke up this morning that it was Sunday and I had the day off and I was like, what am I going to do today? Hello, it's Monday. Hold on, I'm trying to see if there I am, great. Okay. If you're watching me on Facebook, tell me where you're from so I can make sure that I'm communicating properly. So anyway, happy Monday. Imagine how sad I was when I was like, it's not Sunday, it's Monday. Bah. Hi, Becky. I sent your package today. You and a bunch of your friends, your packages went out. When you said you were from Kennydale, I actually thought you were from around here in the Seattle area because there's a hill. Hey, is it Denham Springs, Louisiana? Hello. There's a hill here called Kennydale, and I thought you were saying you were from Renton. Hi, Mary. My husband says Monday, Seattle. Right. At least the sun's out. Oh, in Spokane, Washington. Nice. I was just there a couple weeks ago picking up a sewing machine. Or 16. That's how it goes. I have Florida. I have... All right, we're all here. So, couple little housekeeping items. First of all, if you join me on Friday, I do a weekly sip and sew. So I'm sipping beverages. I am sewing on my Minnie Mouse Featherweight that's behind me. And the ladies and I were on talking about the name for my new tan sewing machine. So I have a name announcement today, and there's also some earrings to be given away. So everybody, I don't know how many suggestions I had. I think I had Haleo, Savannah, Texas. I think I had 60 name suggestions, and I just couldn't pick. They were all so good, so I randomly just ran my pen up and down the list and landed on a name, which ironically I really love. So that's a perk. All right, I have Indiana, New Albany, Indiana. Mary Duncan is sewing stars on her 221. Nice. Oak Park, California. Nancy and Lake Stevens. Hi, Lake Stevens, Washington. Love Lake Stevens. All right. So the name, I don't have a drum roll, but the name is going to go to Carla, which is, I think, Zoe Stitch something or other. Can't remember her Insta handle, but I'll find it. You won a new pair of my cool leather earrings that we dropped on our website. I'm wearing a pair, so we'll be twinsies. We'll be twinning. And the name that Carla suggested was Charlotte. And I love Charlotte for a few reasons. So Charlotte was one of my baby names when I was in those years. It never got used, but it was one of my baby names. I just love it. It has, the reason why I love it is we have a dear friend, her name is Charlotte, and she lives in Arizona, and she's a ballerina like my daughter was, and the ballet mistress was French. And so I remember one performance, Charlotte had done a little something out of step, and Miss Sibyl was like, Charlotte, Charlotte. She's yelling across the whole thing. Charlotte, Charlotte. And I thought that is the cutest way of pronouncing Charlotte. And remember, I said on Friday that I wanted it to have a formal name and then it could be shorted to something cute. So my new tan machine's name is Charlotte, and I will call her Charlie when she's behaving herself. So that's probably going to be most of the time. So, all right. I know Becky King's like, yay, Carla. I got to remember her whole Insta handle. It was like Zoe anxiety something or other. I'll find it. Don't worry. I will find it. And I will get your mailing address and I will send you your new pair of earrings. Okay, so today is Monday. And notice I have my doctor's coat on because today is Ask the Doctor. So we had a good client write in from Bellingham, Washington, and she was asking about the hand wheel. And the deconstruction of the hand wheel when you're going to replace the belt. It's very easy to not put it back together properly, and then it won't be seated properly. And if it is not together in the right order, then when you are running your bobbins and you disengage your silver knob on your hand wheel, the head will still continue to run. So I thought I would talk about a few different things. First of all, if you got the machine and when you disengage the hand wheel, if it's still the head is still stitching, then it's not in there right to begin with. But if it is right to begin with and you go to replace your belt, then how do you make sure you get it back together properly? So we're going to talk about those two different things. Hi, Helen from sunny Bellingham. I know it's sunny outside for me too. We'll take it. It rained over the weekend. It was a good stitching weekend. Oh, I got lots done. Let me show you guys what I got done. All right. You're about to see actual blocks. Actual blocks, people. Been working on this quilt for I don't know how many different Fridays, but look, we have blocks. How cute. It's Tula Pink's homemade line. So this is the first 4 of like a million. It's not a million, but it feels like a million. So excited, yay! Progress. I have the other 5 in this colorway almost done, and then there's 2 other colorways. So I'll get there. It'll happen. All right, so if you, let's start with how to do this. Okay, so the first thing I like to do when I'm doing belt work, Meredith is on, hi, thank you. She said, cute blocks. So the first thing I like to do is I like to put the machine in its optimal position for changing the belt out. And so I like to tip her on her face. I put a soft cloth in here so that way I don't do anything to my bed extension, and I tip her on the back like this. This machine is actually in for service and it has a new belt on it, but I want to show you what the right way to do this and then how to fix it if there's something bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screwdriver, a very thin tipped flathead screwdriver, and I'm just going to barely unseat the screw. You can take it all the way out. There's a little screw in the middle of that silver hand wheel. So now it's unseated and I can undo this knob. I'm taking it off, putting it down. All right, here is the source of the problems. There's a washer in here. I'm going to stand up. There's a washer in here. See what that looks like? It has what I call dogs, which are either sticking up like this or going down into the machine like this. And then it has 3, my fingers are on 2 of them, 3 little notches on the outside of the circle. Okay, so if your machine is behaving itself properly, what you want to do when you go to change this belt out is, first of all, you want to loosen the motor mount screw so that the motor is floppy. Again, you could take it out, but you don't really need to. And then you tip the machine up like this, put it in this position for service, and now you're here. If it's running right, what you're going to do, well, goodness, I had a Sharpie here a second ago. What did I do with it? You're going to make a cheater line, and you're going to run a line with a Sharpie. I'm going to tip this so you guys can see over the washer and over the metals. Can you guys see that black line there? So now I know when I take this washer off to take the hand wheel off, I know that how to put it back in the exact right position if it's working right. If yours is not working right, and what I mean by not working right is this silver hand knob can't seat itself normally. I do have pink and yellow machines behind me, Meredith. Then it's this washer is the culprit. If your machine head is not disengaging when you turn this a half a click counterclockwise to run a bobbin, when you're running the bobbin, the head is going up and down, it means it's not right. This is your culprit. So what I would probably do, it can go 4 different ways. It can go this way, or this way, and this way. Typically, I find the machines with those center dogs out. But every once in a while, I find them with the center dogs in. I would start, if it's not working properly and the dogs are in, I would start with the dogs out. The center notches pointed out. Okay, the next thing I would do, so once you start with the dogs out, is I'd put it one way. I would screw this silver hand wheel down, and I would see where this set screw, if it's going to make contact with one of those 3 outer notches, it means it's not seated right and it's just 180 out. So you take the hand wheel off and you flip it 180 degrees, not upside down, but just spin it. And then when you go to set this back in again, these little set screws won't hit anything. So that is how you know you're in the right position. And then I'm going to tighten this down and put it on its feet. And then give it a try by disengaging this little silver hand knob and running it to make sure that the head disengages. Sometimes when a machine comes in to service for me and it is really, really, really cruddy, like it has a lot of gunk, internal gunk from decades of oiling and greasing, sometimes even though this is in the right spot, I notice that the head will move very slowly. And in fact, you can grab the take-up lever and it stops altogether. There's nothing behind it. Sometimes that's the case and it just requires a little bit more cleaning out of the gunk on the inside. So, but now you know the proper way to install a belt. And if your machine head doesn't disengage when you pull this apart, that washer is the culprit. So you might be asking yourself, well, how do I know when I'm ready for a new belt? That's an excellent question. Whenever a machine comes through service with our shop, it gets a new belt. They're $9.95. They're available on our website, featherweightdoctor.com. It's an inexpensive, upgrade for your machine. If your machine belt is really limp and floppy, it is definitely time for a new belt. The new belts are robust feeling and they have a lot of body and life to them. The dejunking is the first thing you need to do. Yes, ma'am. Degunking. Yes. Meredith says degunk it first. Absolutely. Hi, Melanie. How are you? We drew a name for the tan machine. Her name is Charlotte, and that was suggested by a Instagram customer named Carla. Limp and floppy. Meredith, behave yourself. She said limp and floppy is never a good thing. On your sewing machine, absolutely bad, very bad. You're gonna make me blush. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Oh, Meredith. Where was I? I apologize, ladies. All right, so your belt, if it doesn't feel like it has any life left in it, is definitely ready. Any kind of threadbare bearing or cuts in the belt is definitely a symbol of needing a new belt. Also, if when your machine starts out, it slips quite a bit, and you've gone to the lowest position on your motor mount, time for a new belt for sure. So yeah, and so another question I am commonly asked is how long are these supposed to last? I did notice that when we lived in Arizona and we had a lot of dry heat and no humidity, the belts didn't last as long. They just dried out and got feeble really easily. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, I haven't noticed that to be the case. So I would say potentially once a year. I did have a lady in Arizona wear a brand new belt out in 6 months. She was doing some type of a embroidery project exclusively on her featherweight, and so she wore it out in 6 months. That is not typical. I would definitely say closer to a year or even longer with occasional consistent use. So anyway, that is the belts, and that is how you troubleshoot issues with your hand wheel. I appreciate everybody submitting questions for the Ask Your Doctor. I'll continue to do these on Mondays at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time right here on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, I am so Becky, I know. I am so excited, SEW, about Wednesday, which is my next live. Oh no, what did Meredith say now? Meredith, I wasn't able to pre-ask, but I have a thread stuck in the bobbin case housing. How did I get the thread stuck, and will it be hard to get it fixed? Here for this. Okay, that's a good question, actually. Let's talk about that real quick before I let everybody go, and then I'm going to tell you what's coming up on Wednesday, because everybody needs to mark your calendars for Wednesday. Meredith is talking about thread stuck behind the bobbin casing here. It is a very common problem. It will not be difficult to get it out. All you need is a pair of like needle nose tweezers, or what I call hemostats, which are those surgical, I don't have one out. Sorry, girls, I don't have one out. But what you do is you take your throat plate out off Meredith here. Sadness, she says sadness. And then you tip the machine on its back like this. It's easier to fish the thread out from the hole in the bottom. I usually take the bottom off so I can see better. I take the bottom off. And then this whole area is exposed behind the bobbin, and I will, once you have the throat plate off and your bobbin casing out, you can roll the hand wheel around with a flashlight so you can see where the thread might be lodged behind the bobbin casing. And then you can fish it out. So it's very common. How this happens is you roll the hand wheel in the wrong direction, and that's how it wraps. I know with one of my featherweights, it's really, I do it a lot because the hook is really sensitive, and so I find myself wiggling the hand wheel back and forth ever so slightly when I want to pull my project away from the machine. And if I just roll it back just that little bit too much, it'll wrap behind there, and sometimes it even seizes up. You would be shocked at the small amount of thread needed to get it stuck behind the bobbin assembly. But if you know what the problem is, it's easy to take out, and then you can keep on sewing. It's not a big deal. You've been breaking needles. Oh, why are you breaking needles? Are you not using the right size needle, Miss Meredith? You can use a 7511, an 8012, or a 9014, and I use the Schmetz quilting needles in mine. If you're breaking needles often, you need to upgrade your needle to the 9014s, because that's like almost a denim weight needle. You won't break that. And girl, if you're not, are you breaking it? Because when you pull it away, oh, huge thick layers. Okay, also, in order for the tension, you can put your presser foot up, which releases the tension in front, but your take-up lever needs to be in the highest position in order for the tension to actually be relieved. So if you're like this take-up lever is mid-stitch, you wouldn't be able to pull your project away easily. And I have snap needles being impatient and not rolling the hand wheel to the highest position. So that might be a reason why you're snapping needles too, but you might need to get different needles, 9014s, 8012s. It's always up. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that question on the fly, Miss Meredith. I've missed you the last couple days. So let me tell you about Wednesday. My friend, Madame Eskew, who is a hilarious performer, she is going to be joining me on my interview. So we are going to, I'm calling it the Boss Babe Shop Talk. She owns her own business, and she lives in the Tucson area, and we became fast friends about a year ago when we were at a conference together last April in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So she's going to be joining me on Wednesday. We're going to go live on Facebook first at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and we're going to talk for about 25 minutes or so, and then we'll be back on Instagram at 4:30. So we're going to talk about, she's a performer, she's a sewing instructor, and she is a featherweight enthusiast. So we're going to talk about how her and I helped to revive her grandmother's featherweight nettie. So I am very excited. She is a dear friend of mine, and you guys will absolutely love her. So definitely join me on Wednesday at 4 on Facebook and 4:30 on Instagram Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for joining me today on our Ask the Doctor series. If you have any other questions that you would like me to answer during this session each Monday, you can email our shop at info@featherweightdoctor.com. If you are in need of a belt or any other service items for your machine, maintenance items for your machine, or gifts for your friends, like these stunning little earrings, you can go out to our the website featherweightdoctor.com. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I look forward to getting a hold of Carla and letting her know that she has won the pair of earrings. I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Thanks.